Good morning, everyone, and welcome, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of Sports Memo and Wager Talk's new show, Family Affair. We're making sports betting history as never before on any sports betting panel has there been. 1, 2, 3, 4 family members. I'm honored to be here. Let me bring our wonderful panel on today. I'm honored to be here with the First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico, and my good friend, Jeff Michaels. My friends, unfortunately, Ralph Michaels will not be with us today. He is currently traveling and to once again make Las Vegas his home. He's sorry he couldn't make it. He did send some games, so don't worry about that. But he is definitely here with us in spirit. Before we get into a ton of free winners in both college and pro football, just want to say good morning. Good morning, Dionne. How are you today?
Good morning. I am doing fantastic. Looking forward to the weekend here.
Well, I'm happy to have you here because you're just down the hall. I haven't seen you in a while, but I noticed right now you're wearing a New England Patriots jersey. 2 weeks ago, was it a BYU Cougars jersey?
It was.
Sports fans, 22 years of marriage, didn't know I was married to a Mormon until 2 weeks ago. And she also knows my rule in this house about anything from the state of Massachusetts. I'm a New Yorker, guys. We don't eat baked beans or cream pie or anything like that. After this show, babe, we're burning that jersey. I'll tell you that.
I figured you had your Raiders jersey on, so I couldn't wear that one. And I figured out of the other ones that you would prefer this one over the Bears one. So,
well, that is the lesser of two evils, I'll tell you that. I love you, darling. Welcome. My good friend, Jeff Michaels. Jeff will be representing the Michaels family today. And, guys, I got to tell you, I'm so happy to be doing so much content on Sports Memo TV with Jeff. He's one of the best cappers in the world today. He's also just one of the most exciting guys and the sharpest guys in the business. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, guys. Always a pleasure to be here. I'm excited for kickoff of our $2 Tuesday goes tonight. So started off right on the weekend.
It's great stuff. Now, Jeff, are you familiar with the phrase, when the cat's away, the mice will play?
Absolutely.
Your dad's not here. We're going to have – no, I'm kidding. We miss you, Ralph. We wish you could be here. You are here with us in spirit. And sports fans, don't worry. For those of you who love Ralph, and everybody loves Ralph, one of the best cappers on the planet, he sent games for us. We're going to be going over his games. We're going to have a lot of fun. Now, real quick, guys, you see it scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of Sports Memo TV's amazing content. And when you do hit that subscribe button, you'll get an alert every time one of our shows is about to go on. I'm going to tell you, you don't want to miss it. We got some great stuff this fall. Having said that, we're going to have our 4-team Underdog Moneyline Parlay segment, 4 roundtable games, and then our best bet segment. But before we get into all that, a couple of things I'd like to make you aware of. The customer appreciation over at Sports Memo Wager Talk is unrivaled. No questioning that. We know that saving you money is just as good as making you money. Over at Sports Memo, they put something up yesterday. I got to tell you, the response was overwhelming. Any Sports Memo capper, 30 days, NFL, NCAA football combo special, just $199, no code necessary. This is amazing. Go over to Sports Memo after the show. Go follow your favorite capper or cappers for 30 days, just $199. Oof. Saving your money is like making your money. And I'm very excited that this panel today, Jeff, Dionne, and myself, are the Sports Memo TV host $2 Tuesday featured cappers. Now, we know it's Friday, but guess what? We were the featured cappers for $2 Tuesdays. And, because of Sports Memo Tuesdays, just ain't for tacos anymore. But our $2 Tuesday special is still available. Jeff, Dionne, and myself, you get each one of our 5% plays for just $2, or the steal, or I should say, the deal of the century. Get all 3 of our plays for $5. Tell you right now, Jeff has a play going off tonight. Dionne has a play going off tomorrow. I have a play going off Sunday. This is one way to ensure yourself a winning football weekend. Now, that's a mouthful, guys. Woof! Even I get, a little winded. Real quick, guys, this is just, every successful professional sports bettor and sports handicapper I know uses the Gold Sheet, the most respected of all the betting newsletters. So, my friends, go to www.goldsheet.com and use what the pros use. Wow, wow, wow. Now, guys, we're going to implement a new segment today, a very exciting segment. We got a couple of comments the last few weeks about lines and line movements. So I'll tell you what I decided to do with Jeff and Dionne's approval, and Ralph's too. I spoke to my good friends over at my favorite sports book in the world, the Superbook at the Westgate here in Southern Nevada. And they actually called me up yesterday and they gave me all the smart money line movements. Now, obviously, a lot of the lines move due to injuries, weather, and the general public moves lines. We all know that. But these lines were specifically moved by the wise guys, the smarts, the sharp money guys, and we wanted to make you aware of them. 3 college, 3 pro, real quick. Then we're going to go into our underdog money line parlay. My friends, 3 college football games specifically were moved by the wise guys. UCLA up 1.5 to 2 points. Washington up a point. Iowa up 3 points, 21 to 24. That's all smart money moves. On Sunday, 3 NFL plays moved by the wise guys. The Cowboys line went down. The Patriots line moved up. And the Seahawks line dropped a point. So once again, UCLA up, Washington up, Iowa up. The Cowboys went down. I don't think that's the last time I'm going to hear that this season. Patriots moved up, and the Seahawks dropped the point. Whoo, that's a mouthful now, my friends. Very exciting portion of the show. Our very, very popular Underdog Moneyline Parlay, our Barking Dog Parlay. Let's bring the graphic up. And thanks to Jeff, who does great graphic work. Man, whew, I got to tell you, I think I'm going to have him do my Christmas photo this year. He does great work. Our good friend Ralph Michaels sent in his underdog play, and that is Michigan State plus 134. We'll put that up there. Obviously, I'm not going to read Ralph's analysis, but he wanted everybody out there to know he really likes this. Michigan State plus 134. Let's go over to Jeff Michaels, the younger of the Michaels clan. Jeff, what did you have for everybody on your Moneyline parlay?
Yeah, guys, I'm using BYU over Oregon. You know, based on the defense we saw show up for BYU last week against Baylor, I like them again this week. We'll give you a little bit of a deeper breakdown. We're all going to give you a talk about this game later, so I'll save it for that. But, you know, guys, my dad did want you to know, too, as far as his moneyline play it goes, it is also a client play for him as well. The client play is not on the money line. It is with the points. But he does have the confidence in it to release it as a client play, too. So,
Lord fans, great stuff. Jeff, thank you for sharing that. By the way, I wasn't aware of that. We appreciate that. Let's go to the First Lady of Las Vegas. Dionne, what do you have on your Barking Dog Parlay on the Family Affair Show?
Yeah, for my Moneyline underdog, I find the Hurricane Aggies matchup this Saturday to be one of the most interesting on the entire board. You know, I spend a lot of time in the Vegas sports books, and I see a lot of people, both general public and wise guys, proclaiming that Texas A&M is going to crush Miami. Personally, I've had an enormous amount of success as a contrarian, but that's not the reason why I'm siding with Miami here. The Hurricanes, in my opinion, have a much better quarterback in Tyler Van Dyke, and reports on this kid is that he is the future of Miami football. And from what I've seen so far, the reports are true. He certainly looks a lot more capable and reliable at the present time than his counterpart, Haynes King. Not only that, but the Hurricanes can and will control the clock and the tempo with their passing game. I feel not only does Miami cover this game, but they win this game outright. So I'm going to go ahead and take the gains as my Moneyline underdog today.
Sports fans, great stuff from the First Lady of Las Vegas, Underdog Moneyline play. Miami, Florida, plus 180. You're sexy and savory host, guys. I like Western Kentucky. I'm going to get almost 2 to 1 of them. Let me tell you why. For this week's let me try that again. My Hooked on Phonics books lost in the mail. For this week's Underdog Moneyline release, let's go to college football ranks. Western Kentucky travels to Memorial Stadium to take on Indiana. My friends, I'm well aware of the fact that the Hilltoppers are stepping up in class here, but let's talk turkey. It's not Thanksgiving, but let's talk turkey anyway. After a very solid performance in Hawaii, coming away with a 49-17 victory for the win and the cover, guys, Western Kentucky had a week off last week. That gave them an extra week to rest, heal, and prepare. Prepare for what, you ask? One word, revenge. If you recall last September's matchup, the Hilltoppers had the Hoosiers on the ropes, but took a 2-point heartbreaking loss, 33-31, at home as a 9.5-point underdog. Threw that in because they covered. And you can't but like quarterback Austin Reed, folks. This kid is a gunslinger. He's already tossed 450 yards for 7 TDs. That's not going to bode well for an IU defense whose secondary is having trouble stopping any aerial assault whatsoever. Say that 10 times quick. On the flip side, Connor Bazelak came over from Missouri to take over the helm in Indiana. He's barely completing 50% of his passes. He's already gotten picked off 3 times compared to just 2 TD passes. If you recall, a season ago, Indiana only covered 2 of their 12 regular season games. They are absolute point spread poison, covering just 1 of their last 7 at home, 1 of the last 8 following an ATS loss, and only 2 of their last 10 overall. On the other hand, Western KY, they get us bettors paid, covering 4 of their last 5 on the road, 4 straight in the month of September, 7 of the last 9 overall. Can you smell that, folks? Can you smell that? That's the upset at Memorial Stadium this Saturday. Western Kentucky wins this game outright. Take the Hilltoppers on the money line, friends. It is a winner. Let me show you what you're going to win. $100 better on this great Barking Dog 4-teamer. Michigan State plus 134. BYU 146. Miami plus 180. Western Kentucky plus 198. $100 better. We'll get 4,800. There it goes again. $4,803.15. We have the ticket. That is a copy of the ticket. Guys, we're very excited about this. Now, don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more stuff for you. We've got roundtable games. We've got best bets. Before I do that, real quick, guys, we got a question, and I want to bring it to Jeff real quick. Groovy Meister, who chimes in about every one of our shows. He's great. Hey, Groovy. Jeff, for you, how do you guys adjust your power ratings after a player injury? Do you base it on position, skill level, etc.? And he did come on later on to say, Jeff, I imagine losing a quarterback in contrast to a running back will reflect in a bigger adjustment, please.
Yeah, actually, if you look at the next one too, Jesse mentioned it. He said it, I assume, most backup running backs are capable. So I think one of the biggest things that goes into account there would be depth at the position. I mean, position obviously does matter. Quarterback would be essential, but I think it depends on the depth more than anything. And if you have a capable, backup, I think depends even more than the position, because you could have, Pittsburgh loses a quarterback. Who's to say Kenny Pickett isn't equal, if not better? We don't know at this point, but there are probably worse positions, like potentially TJ Watt, that Pittsburgh could lose, that could affect their line more than a quarterback. So I think depth is probably the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Jeff, Dionne, I think you would agree. If we're talking the college football ranks, certain conferences, your Big Ten, your SEC, some of those teams are stacked bigger and higher than your pancakes at your favorite breakfast establishment. And their backups are almost as good. They just have 1 year less experience. If you go to the pros, I think it's a little more significant in the pros if they lose, a quarterback. But then you got to look at the running game. Do they have a good ground game to compensate, to take the burden off a younger or more inexperienced quarterback? So I will tell you, it does depend on backups. It does depend on if you lose a quarterback or running back. Jeff made a point. I think Watt being out this week has a big significance in that matchup. So it really does depend on the position and depth. But remember, some of these conferences in college football, they can't compete with the Big Ten or the SEC. I'm telling you, you got guys on the bench that, they were the best kid in their state, in another state in high school. So it's great stuff. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your question, Groovy Meister. Now, guys, very excited. Don't go nowhere. Our roundtable games, we've got 4, 2 college and 2 pros. Let's bring up our first roundtable game, which is, and I've got to get it, guys. Here we go. BYU at Oregon. This is an interesting matchup, especially because of the line. Currently, the Ducks are 3.5 with a total of 58. For you know what? Let's go to the Cleveland kid, Jeff Michaels. Jeff, let's get your take on this game, please.
Yeah, guys, I told you earlier, it's my money dog parlay leg for a reason. Both these teams are coming off of big games last week, but they're big games for different reasons. I mean, BYU is off a top 10 takedown of Baylor, and Oregon was off a pretty dominating win, but that came against an Eastern Washington team. BYU threw for 283 yards, and they did rush for just 2.5 yards per carry, but they added another touchdown on the ground, so it was effective. But the defense is really what I'm looking at, and the physicality that I saw last week against Baylor was honestly something I haven't seen out of college football, at least this season, regardless pretty much of where you're looking. They were just all over the field. They showed how well they can create pressure. They had 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 5 QB hurries. And the physicality can't be shown in stats. I had a play on the game. I was watching it, and it was impressive to watch on their defensive side of the ball. They held Baylor to just 137 yards and under 3 yards per carry on the ground. And Oregon managed to put up 600 yards and 70 points against Eastern Washington. but they dominated the time of possession, which kind of sways the stats because they had 18 more minutes than Eastern Washington with the ball to put up this yardage and these points. But BYU does hold the edge recently. They've won 3 of the last 4 straight up against Oregon. They're 2-2 against the spread. Oregon won the last meeting at home. They won 32-16 as a home dog, but that meeting was in 1990, and BYU took the last matchup 38-8. Most recently coming in 2006 in the Las Vegas Bowl. So these teams haven't met recently, but BYU was 5-0 straight up against the Pac-12 last year. And Oregon is on a pretty impressive winning streak at home against non-conference teams. But this is the first time since 2009 that Oregon's a home favorite against a non-conference team by less than a touchdown. So the books think this is going to be one of the first home games that Oregon has played against a non-conference team that's going to be close and going to be difficult for them to win. And BYU's 18-7 against the spread in the last 10 years as a road dog, but they're just 11-3 since Sataki took over. So the way that their defense played, and Oregon hasn't won a game against the spread since week 11 of 2015 after putting up 600 or more yards in their previous game. So I like BYU's defense to show up, and I don't think that there's any chance that Oregon repeats their performance, especially against this BYU defense. So I like BYU on the money line. Put them on that parlay. I mean, if you're betting it straight up, I would probably take the points, but for the sake of the parlay, we put it on the money line. So I like BYU in this one.
Sports fans, JM Sports, also known as Jeff Michael, says BYU on our first roundtable game. Great breakdown, great analysis, Jeff. Thank you. Let's go to the First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico. Dionne, what's your take on this game, please?
Yeah, this one here, guys, I looked at this game, and to be quite honest with you, as I did my due diligence, it seems like every couple of minutes I had an argument for taking one side, and then a few minutes later taking the other side. This is the first real test for Oregon since taking the season opening beating against Georgia. Last week when they took down Eastern Michigan, to me, that doesn't count. BYU has been very consistent, and they have been very good against the spread. However, this is their real first test as well. I think this game is too tough to call right now because I think there's arguments on both sides. But this is a game that I will definitely watch so I could further gauge some of their upcoming performances. I think there are better games, easier games, and more profitable games on the board. So I'm going to go ahead and stay away from this one.
Sports fans, the First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico, said she's staying away. I respect that, Dionne, very much. And I didn't know you were going to stay away. But, well, you know, sports fans, when a capper stays away, it's just as significant as when they're putting out a strong play. I think Jeff would agree, you know. We're not here, particularly the cappers at Sports Memo. We're not here to give you action. We're here to give you winners. That's why I love the cappers over at Sports Memo, because we're not cookie cutouts of one another. You have documented winning cappers. Check our numbers. Numbers don't lie. But you have different angles to look at the same game. Jeff liked BYU. Dionne staying away. I love it. Let me chime in on let me give my 2 cents, because, you know, I love to give my 2 cents. I butt in so much I give 3 cents. Now, my friends, I know a lot of people out here in Vegas are talking about Oregon outclasses Brigham Young. However, so far this season, the Cougars have shown me a lot more than the Ducks. Guys, BYU came out and trashed South Florida in the season opener 50-21. Then the following week took down Baylor in overtime, 26-20. On the other hand, granted, in week 1, Oregon took a beating from the current number 1 team in the country, Georgia, getting demoralized 49-3. Last week, they shredded Eastern Wash 70-14. But folks, they were supposed to shred Eastern Washington. Taking a beating like they took from the Bulldogs 2 weeks ago, not many teams can come back mentally from that right away. Last week's Eagles opponent was a pushover, guys, a real cakewalk. Understand that Oregon, prior to last week, in consecutive games, Jeff touched on this, allowed 49 points, 47 points, 38 points, 29 points, 38 points, and 24 points. Their defense has got more holes than a piece of Swiss cheese, thus resulting in an overworked offense. You got to look at that, guys. Let's not forget, BYU, they're on a 22-3 straight-up run. And the last 16 games played as an underdog, 12-4 ATS. This contest is going to be a lot closer than many think, and I feel getting 3.5 points is a gift. I like the number here, and sports fans, I like the Cougars here, so take the points with BYU. I feel it's a winner. So on the first round, just to rehash it, Jeff and I both like BYU. Dionne says no play. Love it. Don't go anywhere. We got another college football roundtable game, 2 more roundtable games in the NFL, and then our best bet segment. Let's go to our second college football roundtable game, guys. This is a doozy, I'll tell you. Miami, Florida, Texas A&M. Currently, the Aggies are 6.5. Total 44.5. Guys, let's start off with the prettiest person on the panel today, the First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico. Dionne, it's all you.
Well, I touched on this game in the Moneyline Underdog segment, but let me go a little deeper into this game. A week ago, Texas A&M's weaknesses were exploited by Appalachian State in their 17-14 loss as an 18-point favorite. The game did mark the third consecutive no cover going back to last season, but you can bet your bottom dollar that Miami head coach Mario Cristobal watched that game tape and will further exploit those weaknesses here. He's a sharp coach, and he certainly has the personnel to do so. Besides that, the Aggies are slow starters, covering just one of the last 5 in the month of September, while the Hurricanes are excellent on the road, covering 5 of the last 6 as a visitor. As I said earlier, I like Miami outright, but I'll take the points here for the roundtable segment.
Sports fans, she did some great work over at Sports Memo. She said she'd take the points here. Good stuff, Dionne. Very good breakdown. Thank you. You know what? I think I'm going to take this round, if you don't mind. You know, I feel like an octopus. I have like banners and questions, and we're getting a lot of questions, guys. We're going to address some of them in a minute. So let me take this one over real quick. Dionne's taking the points. Let me give my 2 cents again. You know, sports fans, it was only a few short weeks ago. Texas A&M was a preseason top 5 team. But to be honest, guys, it seems like years, doesn't it? They opened up the campaign with a very unimpressive 31-0 win over Sam Houston State. While quarterback Haynes King threw for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns, he still tossed 2 interceptions against Sam Houston State. All this, and the Aggies couldn't establish the run against the outclassed Bearcats. Then last week, their offense sputtered drastically, tallying only 186 yards while allowing 315 yards of offense in a 17-14 loss at the hands of Appalachian State at home. This team has serious quarterback issues, and let's face it, they're not running the ball with any success either. One team that's not having quarterback issues, the Miami Hurricanes. Tyler Van Dyke, he's already passed for over 446 yards, while his tandem of ball carriers, Henry Parrish Jr., Thaddeus Franklin Jr., they've combined for over 340 yards and 7 scores already. Traditionally, guys, we've seen the Hurricanes struggle in the trenches against SEC opponents. However, with the way they've controlled the clock by running the ball and then passing off the run, I don't think that's going to be an issue here this week. They have playmakers, and the Aggies do not, plain and simple. Up next for both teams, get this, guys. Big reason why I like this side today. This side here. Middle Tennessee State for Miami, and Arkansas for Texas A&M. I feel like the Hurricanes come in here a lot looser, a lot more confident, and they don't have the same problem the Aggies have in looking ahead to next week's opponent. Miami, 5-1 ATS, the last 6 on the road. A&M, 1-4 ATS, the last 5 overall. I think the Canes can win this game outright, but I'll take the points here, folks. Take Miami, woof, woof. I like the doggy. Let's bring on my good friend Jeff Michaels, guys. Jeff, I'm interested to see your take on this game. Dionne and I both like the doggy here. Let's see your take, Jeff. Take it away.
Yeah, you know, I find it hard to argue. If you guys saw my tweet yesterday, you know, a ranked team that lost at home as a double-digit favorite and put up 200 or less yards of total offense. They're 4-1 the week to follow, and they're 3-0 straight up against the spread. But this is just the 6th time that that's happened since 2000 and the first since 2015. So Texas A&M's offense was at a low that we haven't seen in recent years. But, you know, Texas A&M is taking on a ranked opponent this week. It's no walk in the park. So that 4-1 doesn't guarantee anything. And their offense, I mean, looked pitiful last week. They began the season and still are at the moment a ranked team, and they couldn't surpass 200 yards of offense against Appalachian State. They only put up 97 passing yards and 83 rushing yards. They managed to score a rushing touchdown, but the only reason they put up 14 was because they added a second touchdown on special teams. Whereas Miami, they put up 27 unanswered points in the second half last week. They won 30-7 after trailing 7-3 at halftime. And the first half didn't show their dominance, but they showed up in the second half, and they put up 450 yards of offense. And they allowed just 1.04 yards per carry. They allowed 24 rushing yards on 23 carries in their game last week. And Miami's taking on an SEC foe. They're taking on a tougher opponent, but at this point, I can't back a Texas A&M offense that you don't, or a Texas A&M team, excuse me, that you really don't know what you're getting. Like Joe said, they were a top 5 team, or you get the team that you saw against Appalachian State. Miami's 2-0 straight up against the spread versus A&M in their only 2 meetings since 1950, and they're 6-1 as a road dog since 2018. So I agree. Dionne made some good points in the money line parlay. And I can't back this A&M team. I agree, guys. I'm going Miami. Give me the points.
There you go. Great minds think alike. Dionne, Joe D, and Jeff all say Miami here. Wow, great minds think alike. I love it. I love it. Love it. Sports fans, don't go anywhere. We still have 2 NFL roundtable games and our best bet segment. Then if you missed something, no worries. We're going to run down all our plays at the end of the show. Let's go to our first NFL roundtable games. Let me get this graphic down. Interesting matchup, guys. Dolphins at Ravens. Baltimore is currently 3.5. Total 44.5. Let me kick this one off. I'm going to tell you why, because I do have an opinion on this game. My friends, I think this is one of the best matchups on the board this week in the NFL, and that's why I'm going to step back on this roundtable game, because this specific matchup, I'm going to tackle later, no pun intended, in the best bet segment. This is one of the strongest plays I feel is on the board. I'm stepping away here, guys. I'm going to give it to my counterparts, Jeff and Dionne. So let's bring them back on. Like I said, I'll tackle that in a minute. Let's go over to Jeff Michaels. Guys, Jeff, we're interested to hear your take on the Dolphins at Ravens. Like I said, I feel that this is one of the strongest plays on the board. I'd like to know your take on it. It's all you, buddy.
Yeah, guys, earlier in the season, I believe it was our first show of the year, we started off giving those predictions for the season, and I believe my dad said Baltimore to win the division, and that kind of surprised me not hearing it before either. But hey, they showed up in week 1, and both these teams walked away with a big win. I mean, Miami won 20-7 against the Patriots team. They beat them for the 3rd straight time, and they start the season off with a divisional win. They held New England to just 1 score, but they only outgained the Patriots by 36 yards, even though they had 5 more minutes of possession. Their rush game struggled to really get anything going, but Tua threw for 242 yards and a touchdown. The other points came from a defensive TD and 2 field goals, where Baltimore beat a new and improved Jets team 24-9, and they never trailed in the game. They only led 10-3 at halftime, but they outscored them 14-6 in the second half. Lamar Jackson looked good coming back. He only needed 17 completions to get 213 yards and 3 TDs, and their defense won them the turnover battle. The Jets actually were pretty good on the ground. They were rushing for 4.88 yards per carry, but they only rushed the ball 17 times. They relied on Joe Flacco to throw the most pass attempts since Testaverde did in 2000 in a Jets jersey for some reason, but didn't get them the win. Obviously, they can rely on their rush game a little bit more. But Miami's won and covered the only meeting in the last 2 years between these two teams. They met in 2021. History shows a favorite like Baltimore had a losing record last year against a conference opponent, just 137 and 211. So betting against them has actually hit 60.6% of the time. And the Ravens are 18-6 against the spread at home in the opening 2 weeks of the season, including 19-9 in the first 2 weeks, regardless of the site when Harbaugh's been their coach. This one's a tough one, actually, for me. I think I'm leaning towards the Baltimore defense just because we didn't see as much as I may have thought from the Miami offense. But I might be looking at this one on a parlay leg, potentially, especially with the dog. I mean, Baltimore's not going to win by 9.5 against Miami, I think. So I may make mention of that in the next roundtable game again, too.
Great stuff, Jeff. Thank you very much. By the way, Jeff, does a 3.5 scare you at all? Would you, if you did put it out because of Baltimore defense, would you buy it down?
Yeah, I was, like I said, I may make a little more mention to it, but I think I'm maybe taking a page out of Eric Pauly's book and maybe putting it on a 16 teaser, or excuse me, a 6-point teaser in that Bears-Packers game we're going to talk about in a minute too. So I realized I misspoke. I meant to say a leg of a teaser, not a leg of a parlay. So I apologize. So yeah, if I was betting it on a single game, I probably would, but take it on a teaser and you're getting even more value, I think.
Great stuff by Jeff Michaels. Let's go to the first lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico. Dionne, Dolphins at Ravens, Baltimore, 3.5, 44.5. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Both of these teams started the season on a high note. Miami thumped New England 20-7, while Baltimore destroyed New York 24-9. The Dolphins, they have nearly their entire defense intact from last season.
Okay.
And their offense has far more speed with new addition wide receiver Tyreek Hill. The Ravens, on the other hand, suffered a number of key injuries in week 1. And remember, Miami beat Baltimore 22-10 as an 8.5-point home underdog in 2022. The Dolphins, they're also 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games in September and 8-2-1 against the spread in their last 11 games overall. I think Baltimore is going to have problems against Miami's stifling defense and passing game. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Miami in this one.
Good stuff. The first lady of Las Vegas says she's taking the woof, the doggy, and the Dolphins here taking 3.5 against the Ravens. Let me ask you this, Dionne. If this line moves to 3, does it affect the way you look at this game?
Yeah, I would probably lean off of it. And I would probably then go with maybe the under in this game.
Okay, so that hook on the game, that extra half point coming off the 3, if it does go down to 3, would affect your play on this game. Is that correct?
It would.
Great stuff. Would you buy it back up?
You know what? I would kind of have to maybe kind of relook at everything and kind of see if it's even worth it to go back into this game, or if I'd rather just lay off of it and go with something else that's on the board that I know that I'm going to go ahead and make some money with.
You know, I know that you've mentioned on the show before, because we've gotten a lot of comments and questions on the multiple shows we do for Sports Memo TV about buying half points here and there. And you've been very vocal about the fact that it's early on the season. You got to be very selective, because that extra 10 or 20 cents, a couple of those losses seem to add up over the course of the season. So pick your spots with buying up or down off a hot number. I think that was your point of view. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff, guys. Don't go anywhere. We have another roundtable game in the NFL. That's our best bet segment, and we will run everything down for everybody. So our last roundtable game of the day, let me get that up there, guys. Bears at Packers. You know, big division rivalry. Lots to talk about in this game. Bears at Packers. Green Bay, double-digit favorites coming off a loss, 41.5. Let's go with the Cleveland kid, Jeff Michaels. Jeff, the floor is yours.
Yeah, you know, you said it. These two teams are off completely different experiences in their opening game. I mean, Chicago upset San Francisco. They were one of the biggest dogs of the week. Their defense did struggle against the rush. They allowed 4.8 yards per carry, 176 rushing yards, but they held Trey Lance under 50% completion. He threw for just 164 yards, and he didn't throw a touchdown, but he did throw an interception. And Chicago came out as a completely different team in the second half. They were held scoreless in the first half. They were down 7-0, but they came out and scored a touchdown on their first 3 possessions of the second half. And, you know, Green Bay was technically the underdog last week, so it was technically an upset, but they definitely got blown out worse than they should have. Green Bay had a solid rushing attack. I feel like I mentioned this in one of the earlier games too, but they didn't utilize the production. They rushed for 6.2 yards per carry, but ran the ball just 18 times. And Aaron Rodgers started out the season with 2 turnovers. He threw an interception and he lost a fumble. He threw for under 200 yards. And that's something he only did 4 times all year last year. And just the 3rd time since 2019 against a division opponent. He did start off the season last year in week 1 doing that against New Orleans last season. So it could be jitters, or are we seeing early effects of Davante Adams leaving already? I mean, he couldn't get anything going in the passing game. Packers have dominated the head-to-head series. I mean, they're 40-20 against the spread since 1992, and they won and covered the last 4 meetings over the last 2 years. But Davante Adams averaged 80 yards and a touchdown per game in those 4 games. And both these teams are completely different than what we've seen in recent years, even just going off of week 1. Guys, like I said before, when the last game, you take a 6-point teaser on this one, and you take the Bears as a dog, you take Miami as a dog potentially, you're getting nearly 10 points with the Dolphins. And Joe said a double-digit dog here, you're getting 16 points with the Bears. I mean, Aaron Rodgers put up 7 points last week, and now you're asking him to win by 17? That doesn't seem realistic to me, to be honest. So I may be looking at it. I may even be looking at just taking the Bears on the spread with them playing better last week, but definitely looking to take them plus 16 on a potential teaser.
Great stuff by Jeff Michaels. He said definitely taking the plus 16 on a teaser with the dog, maybe even taking them with just a regular point spread. Great stuff, Dionne. Great stuff, Jeff. Guys, I'm excited about this game, and I'm going to tell you why. The Green Bay Packers are one of the favorites to win the NFC and furthermore to win the Super Bowl this season. And yet in their season opener, they got smoked 23-7. Jeff and Dionne both touched on it. On the other hand, the Chicago Bears fans, they're already talking possible playoff possibilities this season. Who you Jets there, guys? I haven't said that in 20 years. After their season opening 19-10 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. One thing about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, they don't take losing lightly. They're 6-0 against the spread after their last 6 regular season losses, with the average margin of victory coming by better than 15 points per game. You got to admit, guys, Chicago is severely outclassed here. And with the way Green Bay is looking for some vengeance and a little payback after last week's ass whooping, we might have to bleep that out. The Bears are in big trouble, I feel. To add insult to injury, the Pack have dominated this division rivalry, taking 6 consecutive meetings, both straight up and against the spread. By the way, the average margin of victory in those 6 wins, 12.5 points per game. I think we can all agree that Justin Fields, he's a long way away from running the Chicago offense with any efficiency and trying to compete with an angry Green Bay team. Wow, I feel bad for him this week. Green Bay, 11-3 ATS the last 14 following a straight-up loss. 7-2 ATS the last 9 at home. 9-4 ATS the last 13 versus NFC opponents. Let's flip it. Let's go Chicago ATS. 4-12 the last 16 as a dog. 0-5 the last 5 versus the NFC North. 4-9 of the last 13 overall. I'm not crazy about laying double digits in the NFL, especially in week 2 this early in the season. However, the Packers are going to open up a can of whoop-ass here and get back on track. Lay the points. Take Green Bay. You're going to take them to the bank. Let's bring our good-looking panel back, guys. And by the way, between segments, forgive me if I was a little winded. I couldn't find one of the dogs. I had to take off after her. She was hiding underneath one of the blankets. Sorry, guys. So now we've got our best bet segment. You know what? We're going to start with Jeff. And Jeff Michaels is one of the sharpest young minds in sports betting today. And I got to tell you, if you don't believe me, go check his numbers because numbers don't lie. His stats do it. He's documented winner in multiple sports. He's kicked off the college and pro football campaign. He's doing pretty darn well. And he's going to tell you a few things that he's excited about on the premium side this weekend. And he's going to tell you his best bet for this show today. Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I appreciate it. Guys, my big play today is still going to be that $2 Tuesday play that we mentioned earlier. It goes tonight. Football action for you to kick off the weekend. So that's definitely my big one going for you today. And you might as well go over and pick up Joe and Dionne over there too. Get it for $5. Get all 3 of us. 3 5% plays for just $5 is a deal you're not going to be able to beat or find anywhere else. Got plenty of action that I'm looking at for tomorrow. I am going to get that up after this show, so you will have all my college football stuff up today as well. But as far as my best bet goes today, guys, I'm looking at the bounce back, a potential bounce back for Nebraska after their second upset loss of the season. But I don't think it's going to get there. I'm going with Oklahoma on this one to cover the spread. Nebraska actually leads the series against Oklahoma. They're 10-5 since 1992. These teams played a little more frequently back when Nebraska was still in the Big 12. But Nebraska is coming off the game that sent Scott Frost packing in Lincoln, and they got straight up outplayed by Georgia Southern last week. They didn't exactly shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, they did have 10 penalties for 77 yards, which definitely doesn't help. But their offense put up 575 yards, even though that was against Georgia Southern. But Georgia Southern did outplay them and put up 642 yards of offense and 45 points to beat Nebraska. Now you're playing an Oklahoma team that's noticeably better, and again had a noticeably better second half last week, showing what they really could do. Their defense held Kent under 30 yards, and they forced 2 turnovers, and they also showed an insane ability to create pressure. They had 3 sacks, they had 14 TFLs, and they added 2 QB hurries to that list. Plenty of opportunities for that offense to win that game, and they did it. They put up 430 yards. Dylan Gabriel threw for almost 300 and 3 TDs, looked good doing it. And Nebraska is yet to cover a game this year. They're 2-7 against the spread in their last 9, and they're just 2-10 straight up in the last 12. So I don't see them bouncing back, even with Scott Frost gone. I don't know if that's an exciting thing for the players there, but I'm looking at Oklahoma to win and cover, anything like the Nebraska team that we saw last week.
My friends, Jeff Michaels, who's doing some great work over at Sports Bonus, says Oklahoma to win and cover. Great stuff by Jeff. It's what we come to expect from you. Great breakdown, great analysis. Guys, Jeff is a winner. And I will tell you this. After the show, go over to Sports Memo. I mean, get his $2 play or get all 3 of us for 5, as he mentioned. But the real steal, the real deal is following Jeff in this college and pro football combo for 30 days, just $1.99. It's a great deal. Follow Jeff after the show. By the way, guys, I want you to know that Ralph Michaels, who, as we mentioned, couldn't be here today. He's traveling back to Vegas. We'll see him very, very soon. He also gave us a best bet play today. He's got Rutgers minus 18. If I'm not mistaken, I believe at the top of the show, Jeff mentioned that these are premium plays for him. Jeff, is that correct?
Yep, this one is as well. I did mention it about the money line play. That one is with the points, but this one is also a client play as well up on Wager Talk for you too. So. Now,
guys, I want you to know that here at Sports Memo Wager Talk, we don't just give you free plays to give you something so we could, go back to the site because we got better games. We give you real good, strong, high percentage plays out there. We're not giving you throwaway games. We're not here to give you action. We're here to give you winners. That's our job. And we take pride in the fact that you trust us in doing so. Ralph Michaels, a client play or premium play, however you want to put it, Rutgers minus 18. Let's go over to Dionne D'Amico, who is doing some amazing work. I don't know if you guys realize this. Last season, Dionne finished number 2 at Sports Memo in college football. All season long this year, she's on the MLB and the WNBA leaderboards. She started off the college football campaign on fire. She's still on fire. I believe, because we're very transparent here, I believe she lost a unit or so last Sunday in the NFL. But I will tell you this, the last few years that she's documented, she always finishes top 5 in NFL and college football. I love it. I love it. I love it. She's going to tell you what she's excited about on the premium side, and she's got a nice best bet for you. Dionne, the floor is yours.
Thank you. As you did mention, I am 6-3 in NFL releases, and last year I did finish number 2 in college football at Sports Memo. This year I'm already off to a 5-2-1 run, and I'm excited to announce that I have my first NCAA best bet play of the campaign. Last season, my best bets were a whopping 6-1 for 85.7%. It has taken me 3 weeks, but I have finally have something that is worthy of being tagged a best bet release. For this Saturday in college football is my $2 Tuesday play. But the best bet is to go ahead and get myself, Jeff Michaels, and Joey D'Amico, all 3 of our plays for just $5. You're going to get 3 5% plays for tonight, for Saturday, and for Sunday. So that's the best deal to go ahead and get. My 5% plays are already 2-0 in college football this season. I also have 4 other big NCAA football plays that are going to be going up by this afternoon, and at least 2 NFL plays going up by tonight. So this is the perfect time to take advantage of that 30-day combo of NFL and college football program for just $1.99. And for my best bet today, the Fighting Irish were projected to be a college football playoff contender, but they are 0-2. The Golden Bears, they were picked to finish near the bottom of the Pac-12 conference, but are 2-0. To me, this one here is going to be a really interesting matchup to me. Notre Dame opened the season losing 21-10 at Ohio State, and then followed that up with a 26-21 loss to Marshall. Quarterback Tyler Buchner, he is set for surgery on his shoulder and could miss the rest of the season. But let's be honest, he wasn't exactly impressive when healthy. California, on the other hand, they crushed UC Davis 34-13 and then beat UNLV 20-14. One key area to watch in this game is Purdue transfer Jack Plummer. He leads the Pac-12 and ranks 9th nationally with 25.5 completions per game. Plummer is also 3rd in the conference and in the top 30 overall with 273 passing yards per game. I just don't understand why Notre Dame is laying double digits here. So I'm going to go ahead and take Cal plus the points for my best bet in this one.
The First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico, she's taking Cal plus the 11.
I am.
Finished college football last year, number 2. Started off this season on fire. College football, guys. She said take Cal, take it to the bank. And after the show, let's put that graphic up again, guys. Any capper, 30 days NFL NCAA football combo, just $199. You follow the First Lady. I'll tell you what, you're gonna follow her to the bank. Now, guys, I'm excited. Get ready. Turn down the volumes because I'm very excited today. First of all, Joe D is perfect this week on Premium Plays and has 4 big college football winners posted, including his SEC Game of the Month, which is a 10% play. My 10% plays documented at 14-1 in 2002. I'm going to go 15-1 after this weekend. I also have my college football 21-3 top-rated release, my 67-32-1 touchdown play, my 27-4 Las Vegas strip move, all loaded and up on Sports Memo right now. And don't forget, my $5, $2 Tuesday play is a Sunday NFL money maker for you. $2. But honestly, get all 3. Dionne, Jeff, and my plays. 5% plays, 3 big 5% plays, $5. It'll pay for itself in no time. Now, I will tell you, as far as the NFL, I want you to know that over the last 17 or 18 years that I'm documented, one of my strengths is the fact that I work with some of the biggest line-moving people and crews across this country and also down in the islands. And I know where lines are going to move before they move. All right, having said that, there's a couple of line movements that are going to be moving in the NFL. So in a few hours, probably maybe 2 or 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I will also post at least 3, possibly 4 Sunday NFL winners, including another Game of the Month situation. I will tell you this, the best big game hunter on the planet. Game of the Month, money. It'll be a 5% play. Let me go into my best bet for this show. I'm very excited about this, my friends. I'm going to keep this analysis just like me, very short, extremely sweet. Last year's meeting between these two teams resulted in a total of 32 points scored. As a matter of fact, coming into this matchup, 8 of the last 11 Dolphins contests have gone where? Under the total. 7 of the Ravens' last 10, where? Under that total. That's right, folks. Both offenses seem to be a little bit out of sync at the moment, looking like it's going to take a little while for these squads to mesh and get in a groove. Some new players, some new schemes. I'm telling you, it's going to take a few weeks. However, both defenses are looking pretty strong right now. Both head coaches are looking to continue their winning ways and therefore will not tolerate any mistakes or turnovers by their teams in this matchup. I think this is going to be a very slow-moving game as both teams will at least try to establish the run. Neither has had too much success in doing so last week, but I do think they're going to try to at least establish the run here. They have to, guys. They have to. The under 5-0 and the Dolphins last 5 on the road, as well as 7 of the last 9 versus AFC opponents. It's also 6-0 in the Ravens last 6 as a fave and 5-2 the last 7 versus the AFC as well. Take the under here. It's going to be a very low scoring contest. I love this game. It still may make it as a premium play for me. I will tell you this. Get this game in now because I promise you this. Later on today, Dionne and I are going to be making our rounds, and I'll be moving mid-5 figures on this total. And I will move this line in Vegas myself. Sports fans, let's bring everybody back on the show. We're going to do a quick rundown. We're going to get out of Dodge. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And please don't go anywhere. A couple of quick announcements. We want to tell you again about the discounts. You got to hit that subscribe button. But let's run down the plays that we had. The Moneyline Dog Parlay. Let me get that graphic back up, guys. The Moneyline Dog Parlay. Let's put that there. Sorry, I'm blocking Jeff's face a little bit. Michigan State plus $1.34, BYU plus $1.46, Miami Flow plus 180, Western Kentucky plus 198. $100 play on this will bring back over $4,800. I'll tell you right now, that's the actual ticket that we have. We put that in. I think Dionne and I put that in yesterday afternoon, and we do plan on splitting that up with Jeff and Ralph, Dionne, and myself. I love it. We got a couple of other rundowns for everybody. Our best bet segment, and I've got those ready. Real quick, Ralph, who could not be here, once again, he will be back next week. Safe travels, Ralph. We miss you. He's got Rutgers -18. The Cleveland kid, Jeff Michael, said Oklahoma -11. The First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico, says the Cal Golden Bears +11. And Joe D, your sexy and savory host, said the Dolphins Ravens under 44.5. Why don't we do this real quick, guys, before we chime on out of here? Let's get closing thoughts or comments. First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne, any closing thoughts or comments for our viewers?
No, I'm just actually looking forward to spending the weekend watching some games and having a good time, and looking forward to this weekend. That's it.
I will tell you, we're going to talk about that Patriots jersey after this show. Anybody know a good
It's
divorce?
still better than the Bears.
Anybody know a good divorce lawyer out there? Jeff Michaels. Any closing thoughts or comments for our viewers, please?
Yeah, I'm really just hoping Dion's wearing some red socks too. That would just make the outfit. But no, I'm excited for some football this weekend. I may actually be headed out to enjoy some nice weather in Cleveland and going to the Guardians game tonight. So looking forward to that. But safe travels to my dad out there, and we're excited to be back next week. And I'll be on the Full Count show tonight too. So if you guys want some baseball action to cash in on this weekend, you got that at 3:00 as well.
Wonderful stuff. And later on today, I'll be hosting the NFL football, the pro football forecast. We got Insider's Room. I think Jesse's on the show. Who else is on the show, Dan? Jesse?
This afternoon on the NFL show, it will be you, Insider's Room, Rocky Atkinson, and Kevin Thomas.
Oh, Kevin Thomas. Sorry, my apologies, guys. Tune into that. I believe that goes I believe 1 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We go live. We're going to have a lot of fun, give you a lot of NFL free content. Let me run down these real quick. $2 Tuesday cappers, Jeff, Dionne, and myself. All of our 5-unit plays are still available. Get them each individually for $2. But you know what? The steal of the century, $5 for all three. Also, any capper or cappers over at Sports Memo, 30 days. NFL, NCAA football combo, just $1.99. My friends, we're going to head on out of here in just a second. Thank you for tuning into the Family Affair Show. We are going to be coming to you every Friday morning with tons of free winners and a few surprises too. Ralph Michaels will be returning next week. And just to let you behind the curtain, Jeff, I don't know if we announced it to you or we told you, Ralph is going to be moving in with the first family. So next week's show, Ralph, Dionne, and myself, we're going to be in the living room all in our pajamas. Now that's a reality show. We're just joking, guys. We're all looking forward to having Ralph back here. And I got to tell you, the minute he comes back, we're going to take him to dinner again because we miss him and Vegas misses him too. Ralph will be back next week. But first and foremost, Ralph, we wish you safe travels. Guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of the Sports Memo TV content. We're revolutionizing the sports betting industry video-wise. Hit it. You'll love what we've got coming up. Whew, I'm tired. On behalf of the Family Affair, Sports Memo and Wager Talk, everyone out there, good luck and have a winning day.